Hello and welcome back to Toolbox Talks on the Sideshed. My name is Matt Jones and you are joining us today for episode 1 of the How to Find Good Contractors and Team Members series I'm conducting with Greg Hamlyn from Trades Coaching. In this episode, we are talking about identifying and creating the role. So enjoy.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Sideshed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello listeners and welcome back to Toolbox Talks. You are joining me today with Greg Hamlyn from Trades Coaching, and we're conducting another series on how to find good contractors and build a team. You may be familiar with the series Greg did with us previously, which was how to stop competing on price and get paid for your bids, quotes, or proposals. It was a fantastic series. Go back and check them out if you missed those episodes. They're all, you can visit them all through the siteshed.com/podcasts. But in this episode, we're talking about how to find good contractors. And this has been a question that we have been asked quite a lot over previous months, just in relation to how can I actually retain staff? It seems to be like a bit of an ongoing issue there. Greg, welcome to the microphone.
Yeah, mate. Good to be back again, Matt.
Was that a rocket in the background there I just heard?
Yeah, I think it was. Just one of those good trucks down around the area, mate.
No, mate, look, thank you very much for joining us back on this show. We got some excellent feedback from the previous series. So this was something that, as I mentioned just then in the introduction, we get a lot of questions around how can we retain staff and how can we actually, there's so much work out there, but one of the big problems that people seem to be having is staffing it. I mean, I've got a lot of clients and friends, that are in that situation where they're winning these huge jobs, jobs that could potentially be worth a lot of money to them, but they're having to turn it down because they just can't find people to actually do the work. So I'd be really interested to hear your take on this topic. And we've broken this down once again. As you know, we typically break these series down into more digestible episodes just to make it a little bit easier for people to implement. So with the first episode, we're talking about how to identify and create the role that we're looking for people to fill. In the second episode, we're talking about finding the right staff member. And then in the last episode, we're going to be talking about how to keep those staff in your team. So I suppose we might just start with a little bit of an introduction, Greg, about for those guys that did miss the last episode. Do you just want to give us a bit of an intro to yourself?
Oh, yeah, no dramas. Well, I've been working, I suppose, building and contracting space for over 20 years now, especially like the last few years around builders and contractors and developing their business and growing their business and being able to get more out of their business. So we do, coaching and training to be able to help them get more from their business.
Yep.
And like you said, one of the biggest things we hear as well is, how do I find a good team? How do I keep the good team? And team is one of the biggest issues. And unfortunately, with things the way they are, it's going to get worse and worse as they move forward because of the shortage in the amount of people taking up work in these industries. So, yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, look, it is an issue, isn't it? I mean, and it seems to be one of those things now where you've got a lot of one of the things that I often hear is, anyone that's, it's hard to keep people because anyone that's good is running their own business, and anyone that's not good, if they haven't got a job, they're probably not worth employing. So, I'm hoping to maybe diffuse a few of these arguments here and maybe shed a bit of light on I suppose the process behind employing good people and then more importantly retaining good people. I suppose that's another thing, isn't it? I mean, you can spend all this time and investment in training up staff, and then they take everything they've learnt and go and do their own thing. So I suppose that's a whole other cog in the wheel you've got to kind of be conscious of. I know back in what was it? It was back in episode 58 with Al Levy. He had some really good thoughts and processes around how to retain staff. He had a very high staff retention, and they had some really good strategies in place, which basically led people down a career path. So I know you've got some similar stuff there as well, which we'd like to talk to probably in the final episode. But we may as well jump into the first episode here, which is going to be identifying and creating the role. Mm-hmm. Why we decided to talk about that, I suppose, as the starting point of this series.
Yeah, well, I suppose one of the biggest things I see is, the guys out there doing it all by themselves, and they're normally, busy. They're up early in the morning and they go out on site. They'll do everything themselves because that old saying, nobody can do it as good as me, unfortunately. And they get to the end of the day and they've got to go off and do quotes and that, and they might go in and spend an hour or so with their family as well, have a shower and that, and they get into the home office and they're up till late at night, and then they get up early to do it all again. They call that Groundhog Day, or Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing day in, day out, expecting a result. So it's really important to find out what's taken up your time. And we look at it from a couple of different areas. We look for bottlenecks. Where are the biggest bottlenecks in what you're doing? So you're really looking for things that you're inefficient at, and you probably should be starting to look at outsourcing or giving to other people. But these are the things that take up your time. So really looking at how your day is structured, and then coming back, and what we do is look at another tool that we use is a fun skills matrix. Because you look at what your time's worth, and sometimes there's guys out there doing stuff that they could be giving somebody like a $20 or $30 an hour bookkeeper or a $15 an hour apprentice or whatever, and they're still doing the running around for them. I don't know how many times I've heard people turn around and say, I've gone out and I don't want to take the tradesmen off the site because they're making money, yet you're not making any money because you're going around picking up hardware from the hardware store rather than getting the hardware store to drop it out. And so looking at time inefficiencies and bottlenecks in your business and where you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and that's why we start with basically the fun skills matrix.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just to give you a bit of heads up on the fun skills matrix, what it is basically you look at your task you're doing and you say, rate yourself on a rating out of 1 to 10, how much do I enjoy that task? And you rate yourself on that task, and then you do the same thing for the skill that's required for that task. On the 1 to 10, what's the skill required on that task? Now, if it's a high skill and a high fun task, now an example of that, if you talk to a builder won't say it's high fun, but they'll go, quoting is a high skill, but low fun. So it's got to be one of the last things you delegate. So what we're actually looking for through this fun skills matrix is where can we delegate first?
Yeah.
And you then talk to other guys and they'll turn around and say, well, let's say, for instance, cleaning the toilets or, sweeping the toilets out or sweeping the site down. For them, it might be mind-numbing work, but they might find it fun because they don't have to worry about doing anything else, but it's a low skill.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit there, but some of the guys will look at it and say, look, I'd rather be sweeping the floor than doing quotes.
Yeah.
But, it's a low skill, low fun, in my opinion, task. So it should be one of the first ones you delegate. And that's what you're looking at.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I know we touched on this in episodes months ago. I can't remember which one it was, but we were talking about, because we got a lot of listeners out there who are, they're tradesmen, they're hands-on, and they love that side of the business. And I think it's important for people to realise that, as much as everyone talks about, working on the business and not in the business and all this sort of rubbish, it's true to an extent in the space of, well, if you feel like your strong point in your company is being out on site and, running those projects, then that should be really what you want to focus on doing. Like, don't listen to people that tell you, no, you should be in the office, doing all this other stuff. Like, realistically, if your time is best spent from a productivity point of view out on site doing the work, then that's where you should be spending your time. And you should be building systems and processes around replacing yourself in the other areas.
Yeah, exactly right. And I talk to a lot of guys that, I'll give you an example. Adam, one of our builders we were working with, he took his business from 1 million to 4 million. And he had this thing where he would not let go. He loved being the project manager. We tried hiring a project manager, or actually he had a project manager in there before we started, and the guy was useless. And I won't use the terminology we used, but you wouldn't feed him. You probably know the other terminology there, but if he was on fire, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was useless, and so what we ended up doing was looking at it and saying, Adam said, I'm not going to let go of this. So what we did was we set up systems in his office so that he had 2 girls working in the office doing the things like meeting with the clients and doing the selections and doing all the processes in the office and making sure that all that ran smoothly. Mm-hmm. Yes, we had to build systems over time and some KPIs to help him out, but he was then getting them doing stuff that he really wasn't good at.
Yep.
Giving it to somebody that he could put a system together so that they were good at it. And, he grew his business. Like I said, he massively grew his business because he focused on, maintaining that quality on the site and doing what he needed to do on the site and getting people that were good at doing the bookkeeping, good at doing the customer relation stuff, into the other stuff, and a lot less cost than what he was.
I mean, it's a good example, isn't it, of why you really can't do all that sort of stuff you can't do everything on your own. I mean, it's that classic saying, if you try to be everything to everyone, you'll end up being nothing to anyone.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
It's so true with business. I mean, we're all guilty of it. We all do stuff in our businesses which we shouldn't be doing. I'm sure of it. So, I mean, it really is a matter of, maybe you're right, like you say, creating that matrix and figuring out what is important and what you can outsource.
Yeah, and really understanding where your value comes in. Put the right people. I always use the analogy of a bus. Put the right people in the right seat on the bus. Now, my opinion is the business owner should be driving the bus, right? Yep. There shouldn't be anybody else driving the bus. But put the right people in the right seats so that you're getting the right jobs done by the right people. So if you don't like doing invoicing and bookkeeping and all that sort of stuff, don't do it. Just outsource it. Your time is more valuable. Even if you're swinging the hammer, it's still more valuable than paying somebody 35, whatever the bookkeepers are charging, where you are. But, 35, 40 bucks an hour, you're better off going out and swinging the hammer for 70, 80 bucks, 90 bucks an hour, rather than doing the bookwork. And in saying that, I mean, I look at it from another perspective. One of the last areas I like to give away with a client is because I believe the two keys to freedom in a business is marketing and selling. Yep. So really going out, shaking hands and meeting customers is probably the most enjoyable part of that a builder or a contractor likes to do, because they're actually going out and meeting and talking and showing them how they're going to fix the problem.
Yep.
Outsource the rest of the stuff. Get rid of the rest of it.
How do you address that problem, Greg, when people come back to you and they say, well, listen, I'd love to outsource all this stuff, but realistically, where's the money going to come from?
Yeah. And there's really only two currencies, money or time, right? And so we talk about, what's your time worth, looking at where it's most valuable. When you're saying about, not being able to afford it, you really got to start thinking like a business owner. You start to build the systems to bring people in to be able to run those systems to go to the next step. So as a business owner, I do a thing. You ever read, we'll talk about Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Cash Flow Quadrant. He talks about four people, right?
Yep.
And the four people are the employee, the self-employed, right? So the employee and the self-employed, they're swapping time for money. Mm-hmm. Where the investor and the business owner, they're actually looking for a return on investment. So an investor, they spend $1, they'll make, they want to make $2, $3, $4 or more, $100 or more. If they spend $1 and they make 80 cents, a bad investment. Well, the same's true with a business owner. If they look at what they're looking for is they're buying or building systems to be able to run their business. And then when they've got the better systems in place, systems like systems for employee and team, we're going to talk about those in a couple of sessions as well, but, systems to employ the right team. So if they invest in a system and an employee, if they spend $1,000, they want to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 or more. But if they spend $1,000 and they make $800, it's a bad investment. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they've got to look at putting some time into building the systems, and then when they've got the systems set up, put the people on top of those systems. Now, in answer to your question of, I've got the money side of things, is you've got to look at the return on investment. If you can do something better with your time, like charging out $70 an hour and paying somebody else $30 an hour, you've got to look at that return on investment. I'm better off paying somebody $30 an hour to do the bookwork while I'm out there making $70 an hour or $80 an hour, right? So does that answer the question, do you think?
Yeah, no, it does, absolutely. I just know that's one of those questions that we get asked a lot. Even I suppose at the end of the day, even what we do, with the digital side of things, like companies sort of outsource that to us. So we have that conversation with them, around, well, what's your time worth? It's going to take you this much time to do this.
Yeah.
Whereas we can do it in a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost and do a 10 times better product.
Exactly right. And you come back and look at their time. Let's talk about the website stuff. At the end of the day, if they're spending time building a website, you can build it a lot quicker and a lot better over a shorter period of time, and it's cost them X amount of dollars, whatever that cost is. But if they spend their time on it, they've got to learn the product, build the product, whether it comes out any good, all that sort of stuff. And so you end up with this inferior product that you've wasted all your time on. And we were talking about cost of time first. There's the two currencies you've got, time and money.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is with time, once it's gone, you never get it back. Yeah. So it's the most expensive currency. So if you start to think of time as the most expensive currency, well, maybe I'm better off spending $30 an hour rather than spending 30 hours trying to learn something new.
Yeah.
So anyway, a little bit off topic on.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I suppose I think it's kind of relevant because at the end of the day, like what we're talking about here is is creating that role. And, like part of what we're doing there is we're trying to free ourselves up time-wise, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, no, it's definitely relevant.
Sorry, I was just going to say.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, you look at things like, McDonald's has got great systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got systems there that 15-year-old kids that won't clean up their room are running multi-million-dollar franchises.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're going to systematise your business to be the same as McDonald's, but there is so much software and so many tools and so many people out there that can help you do this. And the only way you're going to leverage and get off the tools and to be able to do more is by using smarter resources, other people, other systems, software, outsourcing, those sort of things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I had a very similar conversation yesterday with a lady who emailed in, and she actually emailed in just saying thanks for the newsletter that we create. She was loving it, but she was saying that she's working with her brother as a builder. Same thing, that same mentality where he just won't let go of stuff, and she's really trying to help him. Really trying to free him up from areas of the business, but he's kind of got that mindset where he just wants to do everything himself, which is fine. But like looking forward, it can be pretty treacherous in the space of, well, if something happens to him, the business doesn't run. If he can't show up for work, the business doesn't run. If he wants to go on holiday, the business won't run. Like everything is dependent on him being there, which is a business owner's nightmare. I mean, it's not really owning a business. You pretty much you've got a job.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It really is a job. And I mean, I don't want to our things, but I mean, I've seen a lot of guys where things have gone wrong, fallen off roofs and had accidents and things like that. And then all of a sudden, their business, they've got this team of people around them, their family, all those sort of people that rely on them. They can't, they've lost their business. Basically, they've lost their health, so they can't do anything. And there's nothing, everybody's lost out then. So there's kind of, yeah.
So in that matrix you were talking about, firstly, like getting towards the end of this podcast now, I suppose I'd like to get some maybe applicable or actionable steps that the listeners out there can maybe take. Like going back to that matrix, what are some of the key things that people should be looking at, I suppose, from an outsourcing point of view, or things that, task-wise, what should they be looking at potentially getting rid of, offloading?
Well, the offloading, I suppose the first one is, depending on their role in the business, you're looking at things like administration. A lot of the administration stuff can go. Things, there's software now that can do a lot of the administration for you. You can go and buy decent bits of software. You look at Xero, go get a fuel receipt, take a photo, upload it straight into Xero. You don't even need to have somebody do that anymore. It all becomes now as a reconcile at the end of the month with a bookkeeper. It's not even a proper...
Replace the shoebox under the desk.
Yeah, exactly. Replace the shoebox, put it into Xero. And I mean, I'm talking about Xero, but I'm sure you can do it with other ones as well. I just use Xero, but I'm sure you can do it with the other ones as well. And you just get those tools in place. There's software there to make it so much easier for you now, so you can get rid of administration for one. And I suppose that'd probably be the biggest area you start to look at first, is how can you leverage your time through getting your invoicing out on time, because a lot of guys don't get their invoices out on time. It's really, and all they have to do is sit down for an hour a week with their bookkeeper or whatever and say, this one goes, this one goes, this one goes. They don't have to sit there and type it all up. They don't have to do all that. They just spend a little bit of time, leverage time with a bookkeeper. And I suppose that's the biggest thing. You can't do it all yourself. You've got to actually look at how many hours you've got in the day and see if there is any way of leveraging. The only way you're going to leverage is through systems or people.
Yeah.
Or systems and people. And so coming back to it, you've really got to have those tools and things around there. So going back to the matrix, if your matrix says, if you're the sort of person that loves doing admin, well, maybe you need to outsource the other bits and pieces. But really, admin is normally a lowish skill and always fun. And there's actually even some good outsourcing companies you can use on the web.
Oh, yeah.
That can do all that. I've even seen some for doing estimating and quoting. Not that I'm a big fan of letting people take over the estimating and quoting, because if they stuff it up,
you'd be careful there.
You'd be careful with that one. You've got to make sure you test them first. But looking at the skills, going through that skills matrix, having a look at the low skill, even to a certain extent, even if you had to go low skill, high fun stuff that's going to create the bottlenecks in your business where things are holding you up, invoicing.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things that come to mind would be invoicing, filing. I mean, now with cloud computing, you don't even really need a filing cabinet. So, I mean, that's just been a complete game changer. Programs like Google Apps or, even Dropbox, whatever, they're just game changers. I suppose answering phones, I mean, even that can be a huge bottleneck. I mean, how many tradies out there, running off their mobile as their business phone number, just spend all day answering phones and never get any work done.
Yeah, get a virtual office. You get somebody that's on a virtual office. It might cost you a couple $100 a month, but look at the time you're going to be saving to do that.
Yeah.
We have in our online training stuff, we have a thing called taming technology, and it's really about sometimes technology can get in your way. Mobile phones, if people think back, again, this is probably going to show my age again, but people think back, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have, you can imagine getting the amount of SMSs and text messages. We had faxes. You wouldn't get the amount of emails and faxes, emails and messages you get today. So it's about taming technology. So setting up some default times. So if you were to outsource your phone systems to a provider of some sort, and they come back they send you a text message. You get to look at the text message and say, I'll sit down and ring them at lunchtime, or set out a certain default time in the day where you do it, rather than you having to being interrupted every 5 seconds by phone calls and time wasters and tire kickers and things like that.
So this is what I do. I have a call answering service. It's all local, and for anyone listening out there, always go with somebody that answering the phone that's local. Like, you don't want to be having somebody in Mumbai answer your phone if you're in Sydney. Not that there's anything wrong with people in Mumbai, but I'm just saying it's a poor experience for the caller. But then one of the comments that I got when I was telling guys this, when I was over in New Zealand running that ski workshop, they were saying, well, the problem is, as a tradie, if somebody calls me and I don't answer the phone, regardless of, if it's somebody else answering that phone for me, then they're just going to go straight to the next person. So, I mean, I think that's maybe true to a degree, perhaps for some of the emergency services. Like, if you can't book the job in immediately, then that might be a problem. But I can't imagine for somebody that's, talking significant proposals or bids, in the space of, like projects, homes and all that kind of stuff. I can't imagine, waiting half an hour or an hour for a return phone call is going to be a big issue.
No, it's not normally going to be an issue. And the thing is, they're going to be surprised that they get the return phone call in the first place, because 90% of the guys don't ever return the phone calls.
Exactly right.
So you've won. I've had clients win jobs just because they've returned phone calls.
Yeah, well, I've won jobs because I've returned phone calls.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've been, thanks for calling us back. I'm going, well, I'm trying to sell you here, but no worries. Yeah, not a problem. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And this was the argument that I put forward to them. Well, how many times do you actually not answer the phone, let it go through to voicemail, and then call them back from the message on the voicemail? I mean, to my way of thinking, it would be better to have somebody answer the phone for you, send you an email with a basically a summary of what the call was about, and then you can get back to them in your own time, whether that's at smoko, lunch, whatever it is. At least you can do it at your own time, and you're not interrupting your workflow.
And the other side of that too is you come back with a better, because one of the things we teach our clients is to you got to control the call, control the process, understanding that process. You can't do that if you're on the middle of the site with a saw going in the background and somebody else yelling and screaming and that sort of stuff, and you're trying to talk to somebody on the phone. Yeah. Your head's not in the right space. So what I suggest to people is, they have an answering service, then they set up a time, they would go either sit in their car if that's their office, but sit in their office and put their sales cap on or their customer relations hat on, so that they're actually in that mindset to take the call uninterrupted. Okay, right, we can focus 100% on what they need, rather than being on a site going, oh, where's a piece of jerk rock or something to write on? Where's, you're just in crazy mode, and the poor old client prospect on the other end's getting the same feeling. They're going, oh, okay, great. What was that? I can't hear over the saw. But if you're 100% attentive on the sales call or on that prospect, you're giving them 100%. They can feel that you're giving them 100%, and you come across, you've got more chance of winning jobs and that sort of stuff from that as well.
Fantastic. Look, I think that's pretty much wraps up this episode. One thing I may ask, Greg, I know you guys and the girls in the office there are fantastic at creating infographics and material relevant to these episodes. I might ask in this instance, if possible, to maybe just get us either a screenshot or something to do with that matrix you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll definitely do that. I'll get the matrix built up. I think I got it as a video. If not a video, I'll give the screen. Not the screen. I'll give you the document. I'll give you the document. That's even better.
Awesome, because we'll stick that.
One thing. Yes, sir. Sorry?
No, I was just going to say we'll stick it in the show notes for any of the listeners out there that want to get hold of that matrix or see what it looks like. Then you'll be able to get it through the show notes.
Yeah, and it comes with a little set of instructions on it anyway, so I'll get it tidied up and get it up there for you. That'd be fine.
Awesome.
Just one thing just before we finish up on this, was building your own team versus contractors. There's just a few things out there now about the shortage of people in the marketplace. And I think, you've got to really have a bit of a long-term thinking around when you're building your roles and identifying your roles. Try to have a bit of a long-term perspective on it rather than a short-term perspective. Train them up. Once you're getting into getting the right people into the team, spend some time and money and do it properly and train them up properly. And you mentioned something before, what happens if you train them up and they leave? Well, I suppose the biggest question is what happens if you don't train them up and they stay? So you're better off investing some time in it. And in the next couple of episodes, we're going to be talking about a little bit about, how to get them to stay anyway. So, and, we're talking about the, train them up and they leave. Well, that comes down to personality profiling and a few tools like that. So we'll talk about that and some of the upcoming things.
Excellent. Well, let's wrap this up now. We'll come back in a following episode and we'll be talking about finding the right staff members. Thank you, Greg.
Good on you. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.